Hello. There we go.
I was like, oh, you got it right this time.
I got the video part right. Sorry for your ears, especially if you're wearing headphones. I apologize. I was trying to fix. So last week I noticed that it was our stream was incredibly noisy. Like there was this hiss in the background, and
naturally he blamed me.
Yeah, kind of actually, because part of it is she doesn't like to be close to the microphone, and the closer you get to the microphone, the lower you can have the
It's like a penis in your face.
So
I don't want that all day.
It can lower background noise and hiss and stuff like that. That's also why I was a little bit echoey last time. So I've got you a little closer to the microphone, and I put a filter on the mics to take out noise. So, and it seemed to be working pretty well. So hopefully that'll be good, except for that loud thing at the beginning there. So Philip Greening Jackson from Bulgaria, hi, asked if I looked up the Musgrave ritual. I did, but I forget what it was with reference to, so I'm afraid that won't do you any good. Yeah, it's a Sherlock Holmes story. There's what is clearly instructions to find buried treasure or something on a piece of paper, and the guy who owned the piece of paper just thought it was a family ritual that you'd like go out to the tree and like walk 10 paces south and 5 paces east or whatever, and it, like it's so very obviously buried treasure. And then the guys, like some guy stole the paper from him, and it's like Holmes deduces that he is very intelligent because he figured out it was a key to buried treasure, not some random ritual that just told you to, you know, find these markers and take 10 paces south and 5 paces east or whatever.
People had very weird rituals if they thought that was a ritual.
Yeah, so I've never really liked the Sherlock stories. Like I tried listening to them as audiobooks, and I had the intention of like I'm going to listen to every single one. But like they're all kind of similar, and like eventually it becomes clear that Arthur Conan Doyle isn't really all that intelligent, but he's trying to write an intelligent character. So
I like the movies.
Yeah.
They were good. And the show.
The show is in like the British show with Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah, the first couple seasons were good, but it got unhinged toward the end.
Yeah, but I feel like that's with almost every show. The last season's kind of like, eh.
So the thing is, they killed off Moriarty, but then they had to have Moriarty come back because you can't kill off Holmes's arch nemesis. But he was very clearly dead because like it was actually him.
Just create a new one.
Yeah, well, they never got around to doing the last season of that.
Or like The Apprentice takes over.
Oh. Mark Caesar says I've officially corrupted. Oh, jeez. Whoop. Let's do that. Mark Caesar says, Vice Rhino, you've officially corrupted me with your lingerie video.
Ooh,
for
wasn't
those
it good?
For those of you... Oh, wrong. There we go.
It blames me for the technical difficulties.
No, I blamed you for one technical difficulty. For a technical difficulty. Anyway, yeah, so the lingerie video, if you haven't seen it, it was just a short that I did on my channel that was like mimicking that TikTok trend where like attractive young women would like be wearing a sweater and they'd roll, like do a somersault on the bed and take the sweater off as they were doing the somersault, and then as soon as they're like off camera they pop in and like lingerie or whatever. And so yeah, it was just thirst trap videos or whatever. So I did that, knowing full well that I would not be able to take off the sweater while I was rolling on the bed. So I just kind of made a joke out of it, and like I'm struggling and I fall off the bed. Apparently you can see the outline of my testicles in my jeans. Someone pointed out to me yesterday.
Not me.
Yeah, no.
Someone else.
Someone from whom I bought a vagina crystal for you.
Oh, ooh.
That was her. So it was the person whose vagina I purchased for you that could see my balls.
Thank you for her vagina.
Yeah, no, that was a fun conversation. I kept on like laughing at my direct messages, and you would ask me what's funny, and I'd be like, I can't tell you yet. It's a surprise. Yeah, because like I send her a direct message, be like, I would like to inquire about purchasing a vagina from you. But yeah, so I posted it on Twitter as a joke because, as you probably know, I'm not going to go into detail about this here. We'll talk about this on Twit Tweets tomorrow, but Twitter has rebranded itself as X. And so I'm like, well, if I put a video on X, is it now X videos? And so, like, I posted my X video.
Ma.
All right. What are vagina crystals? We need to know. It's just a rock. Okay, so she, as
First
you will
of
be
all,
aware if
it's
you
a
watch this whole
crystal.
series. If you're aware, if you watch this whole series, she's a bit witchy, new age, hippie, woo woo stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm not. So she likes crystals, and I also like crystals, but from a that looks nice perspective rather than a I think it has any magical abilities perspective. And so for me, the struggle is like, okay, well, clearly she'd appreciate that as a gift, but I don't want to support, someone that's going to try and sell healing crystals to someone dying of cancer, which let's make it explicit. You are also against the crystals to treat cancer.
Oh, correct.
Yeah. So just to make that explicit, lest anyone be like, oh, Vice Rhino is with someone who believes that crystals will heal your cancer and diabetes and stuff, and you shouldn't go to the doctor.
No,
that's
please
not
go
what
to the
she
doctor. Take your meds.
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
So,
Doctors are really just witches.
yeah. So,
Pharmacists
yeah. So anyway, I like when I found out
mixing their potions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's Nervardia. You can find her on Twitter. I think she has a YouTube channel as well. Nervardia, I think. Nervardia. But yeah, she sells crystals, and she does like macrame vagina stuff around the crystals. But she's also like, she is of the same opinion as me when it comes to crystals. So they're just pretty rocks. So yeah, that was where I got the pretty rock vagina for you.
Thank you for my vagina.
Okay. Aaron Gourlay is in the chat. Says first time I've caught a live rhino. So welcome. Glad you're here. Now I will continue with what I did last week. I think that worked pretty well, where I pretty much mostly just ignore the chat and we focus on making our dynamic the most entertaining.
It's just naturally entertaining.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay.
Okay. So
Wanting what you have versus having what you want. But we've already established that Sharon's husband already has what he wants, but she's decided that that's not what he wants. Yeah. Hence the book. Yeah. To clarify what he wants. Steve and I were of course. Steve and I were sitting in the hot seat in front of our couple's Sunday school class.
So Steve is Sharon's husband, right?
Yes.
So this isn't one of her...
Not Steve the son, Steve the husband.
Yeah, I don't know what I was getting at. Was this is not one of the survey people's
no
things?
No.
Okay.
Steve is her loving husband who loves her exactly how she is and says, "Go, wifey, I love all your ambition and all the things that you do." And she's the one that says, "No, you don't. I must be subservient to you and I must not do these things." Okay. Each week the teacher interviewed...
Is that in the book?
Each week, the teacher interviewed one couple in the class to learn what made their marriage a success.
What if their marriage wasn't a success? Is this one of those Christian group things where you have to pretend like everything's hunky-dory even when it's not?
I guess so.
Toxic positivity for the win!
Yay! Steve and I knew in advance the questions she was going to ask, but we had not discussed our answers. Okay. First of all, yes, you have, because every Sunday after Sunday school, when you go home, you discuss the questions based on what other people answered. So that is a lie, Sharon. Everyone does that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I sat in anticipation of the last question, perched on my high back chair, or should I say pedestal. Sure. I don't really care what
I'm in
you're...
a high back chair right now. Is this a pedestal?
She has herself on a pedestal, okay? Leave her alone. I was already feeling myself becoming puffed up by the accolade that I was sure to proceed from Steve's lips. The final question was, what is one thing you admire most about Sharon? Ooh.
So what is the one thing?
I dreamed he would say that I prayed for him. That's not what she actually said, but according to your book, that's what he should have said. The way the light shines on her silky chestnut hair, or the special twinkle in her dark eyes.
Those are very specific.
Those are what she wanted him to say.
Yeah. So what did he actually say?
I held my breath as Judy posed the climatic question. Steve paused. She's thrifty, he finally answered. Thrifty, I echoed in disbelief. You've got to be kidding. See, again, he can't like what he likes. Like, but how is it that, like, the question is, where's the question? Final question.
What is your favorite thing about your...
What is one thing you admire most about Sharon?
So what's the thing you admire most?
And she goes, how beautiful my hair and my eyes are.
Yeah, that's not... So, yeah, if you're going to admire me for something, I'd rather it be something that I have an active hand in doing than just something I happen to be born with.
Well, first of all, hair, depending on your hair.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
But no, like, not how smart I am, not how, like, what a good mother I am, not, like, any of those things. Just how pretty I am. Like, fuck off, Sharon.
It's so superficial, yeah.
How thrifty. The class broke out in laughter at my disappointment in Steve's answer. Oh well, not so romantic after all. From the first time we met, Steve has known that I am very thrifty. Okay, so you're thrifty. He appreciates
And he
that.
likes that.
We met and our marriage. We met and married when we were poor college students and had to have a yard sale to take a honeymoon. Okay, cool. He appreciates that.
Yeah, okay. So, to get into my previous relationship, do you know how did I tell you how I took my honeymoon with Mrs. Rhino?
No, you never did.
So yeah, it was one of those timeshare things where you have to go, like they'll give you free hotels if you go and sit in the presentation. And we found out so there were two separate hotels we went in our trip, and you only had to do one presentation in theory. And so we were like, okay, we're just going to do it at the beginning to get it out of the way. So we went there, and when they checked us into the hotel, the person checking us in, like through the timeshare thing, was like, oh, you guys are actually too young to legally buy a timeshare. So yeah, don't worry about the presentation. Here's your room keys.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it was amazing. But then we got to the second hotel, and they were like, yeah, no, I don't care if you're too young to legally buy a timeshare. You need to sit through the presentation.
Ugh.
So that kind of put a dampen, because we had our whole week planned out, and we get to the second hotel and we basically wasted an entire day of our honeymoon that, like, we thought we were just going to get rid of at the beginning. And this was the nicer location too, so it's like there was more to do.
But how nice would it have been for them to say, oh no, and then you like really enjoyed it, and then a couple of years later you'd be like, hey, we really enjoyed it, they were so super nice there, we should buy a timeshare. Not
No,
fuck you have to.
Timeshares are scams.
No, I'm not saying you should, but like from a marketing perspective, it's like, oh, we had such a good time, they were so nice and blah blah blah, maybe we should go back and buy a timeshare. But now you're like, no, fuck you.
Yeah. Did you know? Okay, so timeshares are a scam, but did you know about the scamception that's going on with because apparently it's nearly impossible to get out of a timeshare.
So there's people now that are like, hey, we can get you out of your timeshare.
Yes, but it'll be like, for $5,000 up front, we'll get you out of your timeshare, and then they take your money and go out of business.
Ugh. Moral of the story: don't buy timeshares.
Yeah, no. So David Ramsey. You know who David Ramsey is?
No.
He's the advice guy who came up with the to get out of debt by snowballing. Like, you pay off your highest interest debt first, or no, that's the way you're supposed to do it. He says lowest balance first, and you snowball it into the payments, and so eventually you pay off the highest balance one at the end. He's this massive financial guru. You find his advice everywhere, even like, he's a Christian financial advice guru, but his advice has permeated the secular world as well. And he actually, I think he got fined by the FTC or FCC or whatever organizations in charge of regulating that for recommending a timeshare exit company, even after that timeshare exit company had been fined for basically just being a scam. And then it turned out, when a little bit of digging was done, he was directly, like, being paid by them to recommend them.
Of course he was. Why wouldn't he be?
So it wasn't like, hey, if you made this bad financial decision, this is how you get out of it, and I'm giving you this advice because I'm the financial advice guy. It was
like, that really sucks. Like, when you have money and you're going to take money from someone to give people bad advice on money, like,
Come on, you couldn't find a way to have sex during the Timeshare presentation. My favorite moment of the presentation was actually like we were pissed, and so I was like, we were just sitting there stone faced the entire time. And at one point, the guy actually, like, as he's driving us around their properties or whatever, he turns to me, he stops the car, turns to me and says, "I need you to take off your sunglasses because I'm having a really hard time reading you." To which I responded, "No, it's sunny out." So, Pinworm says hi.
Hi, Pinworm.
Hi, Pinworm. Back to the book.
Okay. We met and married when we were poor college students, and I had to have a yard sale to take a honeymoon. After we graduated, I still enjoyed saving money and searching for bargains. He has always appreciated the fact that I've been content with whatever state we are in. Interestingly, I wrote an article for Crown Ministries magazine about Steve's response in Sunday school.
She didn't like his response, so she wrote an article about it. She doesn't like
something, so she writes a book about it.
She didn't like that he was already happy with her, so he wrote a book about it.
Yeah. Didn't like the Bible, so she had to write a book to tell God that, hey, these are some changes, some edits I would
Sharon,
like to
she's
make.
She's so bad.
Steve's response to Sunday school. One man wrote me a note. "Be encouraged," he said. "I am sure that's because you are thrifty. Your husband doesn't have to work so hard and has more time to look at the light shining on your chestnut hair and gaze in your blue eyes." See, he's looking at it positively. He understood the secret joy of the husband of a contented wife. Yeah. Sharon, just sit down. Be a contented wife. She's not a fucking contented wife. She complains about everything.
It's like one of the things that men want in a woman is just be contented. So I'm going to write a book about how my husband, even though he was content with how I wasn't content with his being content with how I was. Yeah. And part of that book is to tell you to be contented with how things like. It's mind-boggling. She's just wrong on so many levels.
How many books has she sold? That's what I want to know.
This is a very popular book.
What the fuck? One way a wife can show respect for her husband is by being content with their financial situation. When she is dissatisfied with his provisions for the family and constantly pushes for more material possessions, she is telling him he is failing to provide in the manner to which she had hoped to become accustomed. Okay, so fucking get a job.
Okay, but so there's a couple layers here. Firstly, like sometimes worrying about finance, like if you don't have enough money for luxurious items, whatever, like you can learn to live without them, that's fine, and be contented, and that's okay. But if it comes to just like basic paying bills and shit, it's like, no, that at that point you need to do something to figure something out. Like, I mean, ideally the cost of living wouldn't be so high, or minimum wage, but like aside from the stuff that the average person has no control over, she also advocates for being a stay-at-home mom, correct?
I don't know if she. No, I don't know that she's explicitly said that, but
I imagine that being a Christian apologist of the kind of nature that she is, she would.
I would imagine that,
mom. But you know what helps with being able to pay bills and
getting a fucking job
is having two incomes.
Yeah, get a job.
Because a lot of times one just isn't enough anymore.
No.
Okay, Steve Brown says, "Okay, Rhino, you clickbaited me in. Glad she has a great sense of humor." I think that's glad you have a great sense of humor, not Sharon. Sharon doesn't seem to. Right, I forgot that we get the sound for that too. Yeah, back with her. I'm so bad. I
really like that sound.
I'm so bad with promoting myself. So back to the whole thing where I'm not really going to be interacting with the chat. If you send a super chat, I will.
Yeah. Did our stickers go up? Did you put our stickers up yet?
No, you only sent me like one picture and you sent it the wrong way, so it was.
No, I didn't. I emailed it to you.
Oh, did you? Oh, well.
And I emailed you too.
How often do I actually see my emails?
After you told me to email it to you, you should have looked. I love you. The woman of his dreams is more than satisfied. She is thankful for his hard work and tells him, so I apologize. I apologize. You've been working so hard. I know that sometimes things get missed and you just didn't see the email or put up the sticker. I apologize. I am thankful for all the hard work that you do, and I should not be complaining.
You work hard too. I'm thankful for your hard work.
Sharon doesn't say that you have to be thankful for my hard work.
I feel like it's a two-way street. We should both appreciate each other.
I don't know. She doesn't seem to really appreciate her husband at all. So I don't know that I have to.
Okay. Continue.
One man told me, I feel like when I walk in the door, I might as well just hand over my paycheck. And on top of that, I never feel like it's enough. She always wants more. Okay, but does she pay the bills? Like, does she want your paycheck to pay the bills and buy the groceries? Or is it like she's going out shopping and buying purses and shoes?
Well, I mean, given that the whole thing, like in a previous chapter, was that the men are supposed to be in charge of the finances.
The men are in charge of the finances, but then the women are still always expected to do the cooking, the cleaning, the grocery shopping, the school stuff. Like, so is she paying like all those things?
So I don't know if it's this book or if it's another relationship book, like Christian relationship book that I read, but one of them suggested that like the man actually like give the woman an allowance of cash so that she can't overspend for the financial things that she needs to. And it wasn't like an allowance to buy things for herself. It was like, here's your $200 to get groceries for the family. You need to make it work.
What decade are they living in?
Like the 1950s, back before women could have bank accounts and credit cards.
No, I meant $200 on groceries.
Yeah. To be fair, we do have 5 children between the two of us, and it's much cheaper to buy groceries if you like only have one kid. Although also, to be fair, your kids don't really eat.
No.
So
my kids eat crackers and pizza and yogurt. That's it. That's it. My kids don't even know what seasoning is, and that makes me very sad.
Steve Brown again says, now you sound like my husband and me.
Oh, is that a compliment? I don't know.
I'm assuming it's a compliment.
Oh.
We'll take it as a compliment.
Yeah, we'll take it.
I assume that you have a good relationship with your husband.
Okay. Comments such as, I'm tired of always having second best, or when will we ever be able to afford, or I'd be happy if I had, are arrows that pierce the heart and soul of a man. He longs.
No, you've said stuff like that to me. It doesn't pierce my heart and soul.
No.
I'm just like, yeah, so when you get your degree and you're a practicing therapist, we'll have more money and we can buy more stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But I think also here, one of the things that needs to be taken into consideration is know who you're marrying. Yeah. Like, if you're promising someone this lifestyle because this is what they're accustomed to because of how they were raised, then yeah, the expectation is going to be there, and vice versa. If you're marrying someone who you know doesn't have the job to provide you with the things that you would like and you don't want to work, you can't complain about that either.
And that's what she's saying.
No, it's not.
Kinda. I think it's what she's getting at, because you're supposed to be comfortable with what you have.
No, I'm saying know your partner. So it really depends on which way it's going. Like, if he's promised this woman who's come from a good family, not a good family, let me retract that.
A rich family.
A rich family. And who has a lifestyle that she's accustomed to, and he promises that she will have all of these things when they get married, and he can't provide those things. Okay, I feel like she has a right to be like, hey, when's this promise kicking in? But also, at the same time, if he's not promising you these things and you're marrying someone who doesn't have the job to provide, you can't complain if you're not promised those things in the beginning. Does that make sense?
Sure.
That's what I'm getting at.
Don't be a gold digger.
No, I'm not saying that either. Because if you want to marry someone with money, because there are lots of people with money who don't care that their partner just wants them for money. They just want the companionship, especially like older people. They're like, I don't care. What am I going to do with my money? I'm not taking it when I die. So I'm enjoying myself. They're enjoying themselves. Whatever.
Okay, fair. Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah. Okay, back to wherever I was in this. Oh, yeah. Piercing the soul of a man. He longs to be a good provider for his family. He wants to be the hero for his bride. He wants to feel appreciated. However, what I heard from my respondents is that many feel their paychecks are never enough.
See, I I don't understand. Like, I know that's the thing. That's the male dominated thing. Is like, oh, well, we need to be the providers. We need to make more money. Like, if both partners have a job, the man has to make more money. Otherwise he feels inadequate or whatever. I'm like, no, I just want enough money to like feed my family and have a roof over my head and have electricity and stuff. I don't care where it comes from. I mean, I care where it comes from in the sense that, like, you know, if one of my kids becomes a drug dealer and then buys us a nice car with it, I would not be happy with that. But like, as long as the money is being legitimately made, I don't care who's doing the making. You can be my sugar mama is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but is sex work legitimate money?
Yes. Now that comes with it. So did we talk about Jonah Hill last week?
Yeah.
All right, so that comes with it, the whole sex work idea. That's kind of one of those fuzzy boundaries where it's like, if you were to want to get into sex work now after we're together, then I should have at least some input on that, depending on the kind of sex work. If it's just...
No, you're saying you don't care if it, so long as it's legitimate money, but is sex work legal, that it would be considered legitimate money? Because I know you don't have a problem with sex work.
I don't know if it's legal. I think...
But
so I know Niagara Falls has a massage parlor that is a rub and tug place, and it's like very well known that it's a rub and tug place, and it's right beside the strip club, and everybody... So I like... Maybe it's a situation like Vegas where like certain businesses can get licenses for...
My point being that sex work isn't legal everywhere, but you don't have a problem with sex work. So if someone bought you something with their money from sex work, you would still accept it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought you were getting at the whole like...
No!
Issue of like, would I be okay with you doing sex work? And then that becomes an issue of like... If you were a sex worker when we started dating, then like, no, I have no right to say you need to stop now because I knew that going in.
Right.
Whereas if you wanted to like go into porn now, and again, this is like, if you're just selling pictures of yourself, then like, whatever, that's not, I shouldn't like, you should maybe consider my feelings, but like, ultimately that's your decision. But if it comes down to like actually like having sex or whatever for money, but even then, it's still ultimately your decision. It's just at that point, it's like, if I'm not okay with that, then it's like, okay, this is a barrier that we can't cross if you're insistent on that, so we will need to part ways. So even then, I don't get any actual say in it. I just feel like as good partners, it would be like let's have this conversation and see how everybody feels.
How do you feel?
I'm not the jealous type, honestly.
No, I know you're not. And you also know that I don't want other penises.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, where were we? Stop interrupting me.
Sorry.
Oh, he wants to be the hero, so be the hero. In America, the average size of a new home has grown from 1,500 square feet to 2,190 square feet, and the number of cars has risen from one car for every 2 Americans to one car for each driving age individual. The number of people taking cruises each year has risen from 500,000 to 6.5 million, and the production of recreational vehicles has risen from 30,000 to 2,000 or 239,000.
Okay, people are buying shit.
Yeah, thanks. Does this mean that we are happier and more satisfied? Journalists? Sometimes, yeah. I mean, can we go on a cruise? That'd be... Well, you don't like cruises.
No, I don't like cruises.
Can we just go on vacation?
Absolutely, let's go.
Kathy Bergman notes, a growing body of research is reaching the conclusion that the country's unprecedented surge in affluence is not spawning a corresponding surge in contentment, personal or societal.
Who is getting this increase in affluence? Because like any of the stuff that I've seen recently has been talking about how income inequality is just getting bigger. So like the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. So considering like it's like the middle class is dying out. So if you consider like who are the ones making the money, it's not most people. So like, yes, these luxury items are increasing, but that's not making a difference for most people's lives.
Right. And so, yes, overall, society's not necessarily getting more content, but are the people who are getting these things getting more content is the question.
Well, that's the thing. Money doesn't buy happiness. However, money relieves a lot of the stressors that cause unhappiness.
Yes.
So money itself doesn't buy happiness, but it sure makes it a lot easier to obtain.
Yes.
Because, like, it's easier to be happy if you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to have electricity next month.
Yep. Groceries on your table.
Aaron Gourlay says super chat to get Rhino to interrupt Heidi. Success.
Great success. Okay, Robert E. Lane, professor of political science at Yale University, notes that there's a general spirit of unhappiness and depression haunting advanced market democracies. That's us, America. Because
yeah,
I'm not America.
Capitalism is bad for people.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I agree.
He goes on to say we're experiencing a rising tide of clinical depression and that Americans are no happier.
Okay. This is another one of those things where I feel like if we actually looked into like who this is and how, like, what context he said this in, like the rising tide of clinical depression, more diagnoses does not necessarily mean the actual base rate is going up. Mm-hmm. We're just getting better at diagnosing it. 'Cause, like, in the 50s, when there was this big stigma against having any sort of mental illness,
lobotomies.
Yeah. That was 1950s. We were still doing lobotomies at that point, and a lot of times it wasn't consensual. Mm-hmm. It'd be like husbands would bring their wives in if the wives were too uppity. It'd be like, she's clearly got female hysteria, and this was one of the treatments.
And she might have been on coke, but hey.
Oh, they used to sell meth as a energy pill for housewives.
Yeah. So she's on meth, and then he's like, "Oh no, too much. Let's lobotomize her." Like, what the fuck?
My point there is that rising rates of depression is not necessarily indicative of rising cases of depression.
No, and it's also who are the depressed? Did they have access to healthcare before? That they now have access to healthcare now? Is the depression due to social stigmas? That has nothing to do with marriage and money or anything else. It has to do with you being a douchebag. Like, minorities are some of the most depressed people, but it's because of everything that they go through.
Minority stress. Yes, there's a paper on that.
Yep.
It's on, if you go to, I think it's transresearch.vicerhino.com or research.vicerhino.com, something like that. It'll take you to a link tree that I have put together, which is all the research that I have regarding trans people. And it's like, anytime somebody questions me on social media and is like, "Oh, well, trans people don't exist." Okay, well, go check out the research here. There's like a whole section of papers that is talking about how we know being trans is legitimate. And they're like, "Oh, well, people are chopping off parts of their body and then regretting it later." Okay, we'll go to the section on this link thing called regret, and you will see that some people do regret it, but like the regret rates are super duper low, like significantly lower than surgeries like plastic surgery, or knee surgery. Knee surgery has a regret rate of something like 65%.
It's a shitty ass surgery.
More than half of people who get knee surgery regret getting knee surgery, and that's a medical make my knees feel better intervention treatment. Whereas like the trans regret rate is less than 1%. And that's for surgeries. That's not even just sticking with the people who don't get surgery. They just go on hormones or whatever. But anyway, so it's got like a section for all of the different complaints against trans people, and in there's a paper that it's not specific to trans people, but it talks about minority stress as it relates to the LGBTQ community, and how essentially minority stress is the main factor that create like they'll say like, "Oh, LGBTQ people are more likely to be depressed, they're more likely to be suicidal, they're more likely to have these mental health issues." And it's like, yeah, and most of that can be attributed to minority stress.
Mm-hmm. Because people suck.
Yeah. Okay, so that's my scholarly interjection for the day.
Really? That's it?
Yeah.
He goes on to say, we're experiencing a rising tide of clinical depression and that Americans are no happier than they were when our incomes were 1/3 of what they are now back in 1948. First of all, back in 1948, I can almost guarantee you that they didn't even survey the BIPOC community.
Yeah.
And
I mean, maybe they did, but they would have had a separate entrance for them and, you know, drink out of the different water fountain, and your results are only count towards 3/5 of other people's results.
yeah, so
And just to declare, it is research.vicerhino.com. And it is a forward, so you might get a warning that there's not a security certificate. But like when the actual site does, it's Linktree.
are you done yet?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, so basically her statistics are just talking about middle class and rich white people.
Yeah.
And that's why middle class and rich white people have to make people miserable, because no matter how much money they make, they're still fucking miserable.
No, they're happy, but they need to make sure other people are miserable.
No, according to the
happiness.
study, they're not. They gotta make other people miserable to make themselves feel better. One of the wealthiest men in the Bible.
Solomon?
Like, concluded this about the accumulation of wealth as it relates.
Oh, is she going to quote Ecclesiastes?
Yes, she is.
Because I got some news about Ecclesiastes.
Okay, let me read the quote first.
Okay.
I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Ecclesiastes 1:4.
Okay, so first off, Ecclesiastes is the book from which I get the position that, like, so one of my arguments against Christianity is that it's immoral because, like, God creates everybody according to that passage in it's either Isaiah or the Psalm somewhere. I forget, like, where, like, in your womb I knitted you together. I think it's Isaiah. And then, so he creates everybody individually, personally. He is personally involved in creating everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus said that, you know, he did that whole, like, oh, the few enter by the narrow gate, and wide is the gate that leads to damnation or whatever, and many will enter. I forget the exact quote, but so that's basically Jesus saying that more people go to hell than to heaven. And in Ecclesiastes, there is a passage that says that it's better to have never been born than to live and die. So according to the Bible, it's better to never have been born than to live and die. And God sends more people to hell than go to heaven. So the idea that God's plan will somehow work out for some greater good is just not supported by the Bible.
I just figured out my pro-abortion sticker.
Yeah, well, they'll tell you that when they said born there, they really meant conceived, even though they didn't, because traditional Jewish belief is that it's not actually a baby until it takes its
it's gonna
breath.
be my sticker.
Anyway, no, I'm not done. So Ecclesiastes,
Yes.
it's clearly, like, if you read the whole thing and see the whole context, it is monarchical propaganda. So it was written, like, Solomon may or may not have even existed, but, like, the book of Ecclesiastes was clearly written to get the common folk who were doing all the toil and work for the rich people to try and be contented in their lot in life. Don't worry about getting rich. It's meaningless. So you just listen to me, the king who is super duper rich. It sucks to be super duper rich. You don't want to be super duper rich. You want to be toiling in the fields to make me rich. Like, that's the whole book.
Is this when you punch somebody in the face? Because I feel like that's when you punch somebody in the face.
Yeah, but that's the book. Like, and what's funny is that it's actually some of the best literature in the Bible. It's one of the best books in the Bible. And it's very nihilistic. But, like, it very clearly, in its cultural context, it is propaganda to try and make the working class peasants feel satisfied with their lot in life. Which I guess kind of fits with this theme of the chapter.
Yeah, I guess. Are we, as wives, causing our husbands to chase after the wind to make us happy, when in reality material gain is not what is...
If you're into breaking wind with each other, that's, you know, everything between consenting adults.
When in reality, material gain is not what is going to make us happy at all. No, but being with the right partner will be.
Yeah, but also it's easier to exist with your partner if there aren't financial troubles.
Mm-hmm. The one couple in all eternity that had the makings for complete contentment were Adam and Eve. And yet Satan came to Eve and told her there was more. He made her think God was holding out on her and tempted her with one restriction, but put on her by God. No, he was limiting her. Like, he was. Like, did she not read the Bible that she's quoting?
No, I don't think she did. Otherwise, she wouldn't have. Well, maybe she did, but she thinks that's another one that should be corrected. Yeah, so none of your business says being rich will never make you happy. Not being poor might make you happy, though.
Yes.
So, yeah, there's definitely diminishing returns there.
Yeah.
It's like once you get to the point where you have enough money that, like, if you spent millions of dollars every day, you'd never be able to spend the entire thing.
That's way too much money.
Lifetime. Like, at that point, like, no, more money is not going to make you more happy.
Yeah. No. Oh, he makes us think. He has come to us the same way he came to Eve. He makes us think there's more. God's holding out on me. And before you know it, we're sinking our teeth into the bitter fruit of discontentment and dissatisfaction. Paul understood contentment. He wrote, I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. Okay, cool. Thanks, Paul. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty.
Yeah, but okay. Paul has learned to be content, whatever the circumstances, but every single book that he wrote in the Bible, like, it's Paul's epistles. They're not books, they're letters to various churches. And it's all, I'm not content with how you're behaving, you need to change. That's his whole thing.
These people just like to tell people what to do, don't they?
No, that's Paul's whole thing, is writing letters to all these churches that either he founded or were founded without him, and saying, like, oh, well, I heard that you started doing this. You're not supposed to do that. Please stop. And so this will be him being like, oh, well, this particular church was probably, like, I don't know the context of that verse, but it's like, I'm guessing that it'll be like, oh, this particular church is obsessed with material things and is trying to, like, enrich themselves or whatever. And he's like, oh, no, I know what it's like to be rich and to be poor. Just be happy. So, like, that's...
And I'm sure he didn't say that while being poor, though.
No, there's also another one. So this was not written by Paul, but a lot of people believe it was. But there's another verse. I want to say it's in Titus. I'm not sure. I could be completely off on that one. But he basically says that, like, oh, people who, you should not deplete the worker of their pay, and people who preach the message are worthy of double pay.
I mean, I could preach the message if you guys really want, and I can get double pay. I have learned the secrets of being content in every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do everything through him who gives me strength. Philippians 4:11-13. I don't know. I feel it pretty hard to be content when you're starving.
Yeah.
Like, because even, like, your body is wanting food. You are wanting for something.
Yeah, no, I've been in financial situations where I've looked at the toilet paper roll and thought, gee, that's getting a little thin there, and I don't know how I'm going to buy the next one. Mm-hmm. That's not a fun spot to be.
No.
And it's much easier to be happy when you can just go out and buy toilet paper whenever you need it.
Yes. Except during the pandemic, because we all needed extra toilet paper.
Well, yeah, we've always kind of bought our toilet paper in bulk, so that didn't actually bother me. Also, I have a bidet now. She approves of the bidet.
I do.
It's a good way to get a woman to appreciate you, is to have a bidet. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'd actually really like to be sponsored by these. It's a company that has sponsored, like, podcasters and YouTubers and stuff in the past. So I'm like, I'd like them to sponsor me.
Yes.
Send me another one for the downstairs toilet. Elizabeth Calibert says, can't stay because I'm at work. Glad I didn't settle for a verbally, emotionally, financially. I want to say that was supposed to be the word abusive after that asshole and got GTO'd.
Good for you.
Hashtag happy atheist.
Yay!
So yeah. Congratulations on not having settled for someone that was abusive to you.
Yep. I've learned the secret. Oh, every blah, blah. Amazingly, Paul wrote these words when he was in prison chained to a Roman guard. Mr. Davis received a call.
Who's Mr. Davis?
I don't know. She should start the new paragraph.
Is this one of her survey victims?
I guess. I don't know. Mr. Davis received a call from his credit card company. Mr. Davis, we are happy to report we have located the man who stole your credit card. Oh, that's nice, Mr.
Wait,
David.
I didn't know there was a stolen credit card. Where did this story come from? What's it have to do with anything?
Maybe we'll find out at the end.
Okay, Mr. Davis had his credit card stolen and someone called him to say that they found it.
And he said, oh, that's nice. But, sir, the operator continued, it appears your card was stolen 3 months ago. Why didn't you report it? That's easy, Mr. Davis replied. The man who stole the credit card was putting less on it than my wife, so I just let it go. Was that supposed to be a joke?
I think so. Yeah, no, that's not funny. Bitches be spending.
Oh, Sharon. Okay.
So I assume that was supposed to be a joke because, like, if that were to actually happen in reality, like, you still are going to be spending the money that you need. So now it's more. It'd just be a different card.
Okay. We're actually at the end of the chapter.
Are we?
Yeah. We got two quotes from her lovely respondents.
Victim. Survey victims.
Survey victims. So one of the biggest struggles in our marriage is money management. Just stick to the budget. See the big picture and learn what you don't have to have it all right now. I know the stats about finances and divorce, and they should tell us how important this issue is in a marriage. They do. Like, they do.
Yeah.
The stats say that finances are the #1 reason people get divorced.
Yeah.
They tell you.
Also, like, don't spend tens of thousands of dollars on a wedding.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's just not
necessary.
No.
Our greatest struggle has been finances and not telling the truth about the finances, trying to keep up with the culture.
Not telling the truth about the finances?
Yes. And I can testify that I have been there when your partner questions everything you buy, regardless of if it's your money or their money, and they question everything you buy, you start to not tell them what you're buying. And how much things actually cost.
Counterpoint. I don't question anything you buy for the most part, and you don't tell me everything you buy still.
No.
Because I don't care. I don't want to know.
No, but I've been in a relationship where I had my own job, I had my own money, but every time I bought something, it was like, oh, what do you need that for? How much did that cost? But then my partner would turn around and buy a $5,000 barbecue or something stupid like that because we need a second one. Like, yeah. So yes, you get to the point where you stop telling your partner how much you're spending and what you're spending it on because you just get questioned and you feel like you can't even spend your own money.
Okay, but is that lying about it or is that just not being forthcoming?
Well, because I would flat out lie if I was even asked.
Then yes, that would be lying.
Yeah. Because it's like they might not let me get it.
Nadirku says there's a lot less need to worry about money if you don't spend money to get someone to post feet pics they were going to show anyway. Oh, are we talking about my feet pics from last week? Was that last week?
Something like that, yeah.
Is that what that's about?
Need to worry about money if you don't spend money to get someone. But you don't need to spend money to get someone to post feet pics. Posting it's free.
Well, I think didn't I say like if somebody sends $50 super chat, I'll post the feet pic? And then someone's sent the super chat?
No, you said if they send $50, you won't post the feet pic.
Oh,
something like that.
Oh, right, yeah. So I said if you send 50, I won't post it, and then I posted it immediately before the 50 came in. So yeah, again, my apologies for that.
Yeah, no, I don't love them very much. I don't love narcissists at all. Mark Caesar. Nope.
Yeah, no. But counterpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Am I a narcissist?
No.
What am I then?
My babes.
Yeah, but I get in front of the camera and look at myself talking, listen to myself talk all day, every day. I actually kind of hate it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's not what makes you a narcissist. That makes you an entertainer.
Okay.
There's a difference.
I mean, the one benefit for having this job is I no longer get that feeling like, you know, what people get when they hear their own voice recorded and it's all cringy to them. I no longer get that. So
Your
like
voice is
that's the one
sexy and I like it.
my voice sounds weird.
No.
I actually, okay. I shouldn't say that. It's not blanket true statement. Because so when I'm editing my own videos, I'm fine. It doesn't bother me hearing myself talk. But when I heard that episode of God Awful Movies that I was on, it did kind of bother me.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, like, and it's not necessarily the sound of my voice. It'll be things like,
See,
like,
Mark Caesar likes you too.
I should have said that in a slightly different tone. I should have come in earlier to say that one. I should have come in later to say that one. I should have let the other person continue talking. I should have interrupted that one with this joke or whatever.
And that's what makes you not a narcissist. I mean, that's not the only criteria.
The narcissist would be like, yeah, I did an awesome job.
Yeah. I'm perfect all the time.
Yurku clarified, yes, he was going to post the feet pics if someone paid $50, then I paid $50 to make him show feet pics unless someone paid $100. Okay, well, thank you for the super chat last week.
Yeah.
I have a bad memory, so I didn't remember how it went down. Your voice does sound weird on your old videos, so 2 reasons for that. First is the audio setup, because I started with a really, really crappy microphone. And then secondly was, as I worked over time, like my the way I present is not, and this has actually been this has been critiqued of me, is that the way I present is not the way I naturally speak. So I had to learn how to, like, these are the inflections I have to do. These are the tones that I have to use. I had to work to not just be reading the script. So yeah, I sound different because I am different. And I don't. We were just talking about this yesterday. There's a YouTuber thing that a lot of YouTubers do, including myself, that like they'll end sentences in a kind of upward thing, making it sound like there's a question, when really it's just that there's another sentence coming, and they know it's coming, so they go up, and it's kind of annoying, and I hate it, but I still have a tendency to do it, even now. Like, there are times when I'm recording, and I hear myself do it, and I'm like, oh, that take was so good, except for that. Oh,
yeah, nobody notices it but you.
Yeah.
She's a sleepy puppers.
Oh, Mike Caesar. Zen Lizard is asking Mark Caesar if Vice Rhino is a furry. I'm right here. You can ask me. I'm not a furry. However, because I used the Rhino avatar for years and years and years and years, some people think I'm a furry. The person who did my art is a furry. She actually, I don't know if she still has it, but she used to have a business where she would like make fursuits for people.
Fun.
So yeah, I have no qualms with the furry community, but I'm just not one of them myself.
I just presumed it was like your hair and beard. You were saying you were furry.
Oh no, are you not familiar with the furry community?
Oh no, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, my neighbor at the old place, he was a furry.
Okay.
But no, I just presumed, because I know you're not, so I presumed it was like.
Yeah, no, I do need to trim it. What's happened to me is that I keep on showering at weird times, and it's like, we need to go, so I need to shower quick. And then I get in the shower and it's like, oh, I need to trim my beard, because I like to trim before I shower so that I can just wash the hair away.
What's the blue mean?
The blue means we got $2 from Nunya Business, who says, as an autistic man, I fake inflections too. Shut it. She's trying to diagnose me with autism.
It's a spectrum.
It is a spectrum. I have ADHD, and there is a significantly higher portion of people with ADHD that also have autism than general population. I'm the opposite of a furry. I'm a rhino wearing a human suit. I still occasionally, it's amusing to me because, like, in my head, everybody who is in my audience watches every single one of my videos. I know intellectually that is not the case, but when I'm planning out my videos or whatever, that's the headspace that I'm in. And yeah, no, it's not necessarily the best way to go about things, but that's just how I roll. But I still regularly get comments on my video being like, oh, that's what your face looks like. And like, my face has been public for like well over 2 years now, and I've been doing nothing but face videos for like 8 or 9 months now. So it's like it's always a little bit surprising to me, but it's like no, I can see, because there are channels that occasionally, if they pop up, I'll watch one of their videos that I'm subscribed to that I just don't watch regularly. So like it makes sense that other people would have that same relationship with my channel.
None of your business.
Which one? Vice is an autistic, I'm convinced. Shut up, Ninja. So I did just use auto tune, completely level out your inflections. Well, you know, I actually, I don't know how well this is working because I don't have the monitoring on, but I did turn on auto tune, so maybe it'll, I don't know. I have it. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that to see what it actually sounds like. Yeah, so anyway, we should get going. I've got boys locked in their room.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard crying a little while ago.
Yeah, so we should probably let them out.
No. So quiet down here.
They're both grounded today, and it's harder for us than it is for them. Because now instead of just like being on their electronics or going to the library or something, they're like in here every 5 minutes being like, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this? And it's like, shut it.
And let's clarify, we're not stopping them from going to the library to read. We're stopping them from going to the library to go play on the library screens.
Yeah, they think they're clever. Well, they are clever, but yeah, they when I say, no, you're all done on screens for the day, they'll say, okay, can I go to the library because I like books so much? And then I usually say yes, because like, yeah, I know they're on the computers at the library, but it's like a 20-minute walk there. So like, if they walk to the library, that's at least 40 minutes of outside and exercise.
Yep.
So like, I let them think they're getting away with it. There's also like sometimes, we put the kids to bed around 7 o'clock, but the older kids, we know that's unreasonably early for them. So like they're allowed to like stay up and read or listen to music, or like if they have time left on their devices, they can be on their devices or whatever. And my boys have started saying, can we take Puddles for a late night walk? And they fight us every time we try and get them to take her for a walk during the day, because there's a chance they might have to pick up poo. They don't want to do that. So they like, it's always a fight. Like, just take the dog for a walk. Just take the dog for a walk. But no, suddenly they really like to at night. Turns out what they did, they walk her to the playground and then tie her up on a post and play on the playground.
Oh, kids.
But like, hey, at least they're outside playing. But it's like past their bedtime outside playing.
Yeah.
It's summertime. I'm not too worried about that.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's time for us to go release the boys.
No!
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. It's been fun. We'll see you next week. Also watering hole tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern? Yeah, that's the time I stream. Bye.
Bye.